everyone. I'm Mandi Rae with OPA, the Organization for Professional Astrology, and I'm here with Brett Dieras today. How are you?
I'm good.
We're going
Thanks
to
for
talk
having me.
about some really cool stuff. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for coming on. And what we're going to start with is the fact that we're having something called the Astro Business Summit
Mhm.
with OPA in April 25th through 27th. And you're going to be presenting on Sunday, April 27th at
Yes.
12 p.m. And this, I believe that's Pacific time. It will all be
Mhm.
on our website, opaastrology.org. But what we're going to dive into is what your presentation's about, which is entrepreneurial synastry, understanding your relationship to your business. And this had me, because I was looking it up before I came on with you, looking
Mhm.
at when I posted my first Instagram post, because I was like, I think that would be the very beginning to my business. So, my first question for you is that do you look at the start of your business? Do you look at the charts? Is that what goes on with this?
Yes, yeah. So what you do is you establish a natal chart for your business. And I define the natal chart for your business as like your first, like your first exchange of energy. So really your first sale is the most accurate chart, because everything else prior to that is a conception. And so this allows you to see like when did that business become public? When was it ready to be received by the public?
Oh, that's wonderful. And I know that a lot of people start out as hobbyists,
Hmm.
astrologers, and that's actually a pretty appropriate way to go about it. You want to practice and that's why it's called practicing things at first, right?
Yeah.
We practice astrology. We continue to learn and continue to study and practice it.
Oh, of
So
course.
people, hobby practice it first. And then we always have that time when we make our first sale, and it is so important. So it's something to track down, I would think, if you're going to use this in the best way, because
Hmm.
I was definitely looking at my first Instagram post, and now I'm thinking, I'm like, did I sell one before that? I probably did. Uh, but what a great thing to do. So I'm assuming this works a little differently, or does it work similarly to relationship synastry?
It's exactly the same. It is
Okay.
exactly the same because your business and you are separate entities, right? Your business is a person, right? It represents a person, it represents a separate energy from your own. So you look at it like regular synastry. You look at it like a regular relationship. So you can look at your relationship to how you communicate with your business or how your business communicates with the outside world. You can look at what your values are based on your sun sign, and are they in alignment with the values of your business? So it works the same way.
Oh, how wonderful. So
Hmm.
let me ask you a question, because I think astrologers sometimes have a funny way of relating to business, because at first we get
Hmm.
into it and it feels like, this is what we're doing because we enjoy it and because we want to help people and it helps us, and it's
Hmm.
just, kind of one of those things. And so getting your foot in the door and getting started is something that I think people might struggle with a little bit. Do you have any tips, or how do you approach business and astrology? Anything you want to share there?
Well, I approach the business of astrology like a symbiotic dance. It's the dance between the practitioner, the person who practices, and, how that practice is conveyed to the outside world. So I would say separating it first is the most important thing because as much as you're connected to your business, it helps you maintain a set of boundaries and it automatically establishes like your set of like your boundaries, your walls. What are you going to do? What aren't you going to do? And you can kind of separate it right away. So that's the first I think tip that I would give people, is really start to look at your business as separate from yourself right away.
That's a really good tip, because you can get mired down in it. And I'm assuming, like, how would you work with it if someone, for instance, had a Mars opposition when their business started? Do you have any practices that you recommend if that is, something that's going on with your business?
Well, if you have something like a Mars opposition, that gives you an opportunity to see like what the challenge is. Like, what is it opposing? Is it Mars oppose your sun? Like, does your business have too much going on for your own personal energy? What if it's Mars opposed Saturn? That's not necessarily a bad thing. It means that you're willing to place the focus, the direction, the drive into all the nitty-gritty of your business. So not all oppositions are bad. I think oppositions give us opportunities for growth. And I think it allows us to see like what our challenges are and where do we need some help. So if you have a Mars opposition and you're burning out because you're taking on too much, like let's say it's Mars opposed like your natal Jupiter, you're taking on too much, you're doing too much, you're like saying yes to everything. It also allows you to see what can you give away to somebody else? What can you bring into your business to take up some of that energy? So it allows you to see not only like where your challenges are that way, but also where somebody else might be more effective.
Gosh, that's so fascinating, and I'm so looking forward to this. I will definitely be there because I'm already curious. And I did want to ask you one more thing. If someone hasn't made a sale yet
Mhm.
and they're thinking about launching practice, is this something that you would maybe elect a time for? I'm assuming you can do that.
You can, yeah. You can absolutely elect a time for your business. Oftentimes, it will be best elected around the time of the launch of your website, the launch of your LinkedIn profile, anything that gives you that personal connection, anything that gives you like that interaction with the outside world. So if you have, I would say like if you would elect like the start of your website, that would be probably the best elected date for your business because as we know from regular natal astrology, the birth chart or the birth certificate isn't always accurate.
Mm.
Like the timing of when you register your business may not be the most accurate time of your business's birth. I know it wasn't for me. And I've noticed that with a lot of clients that I've worked with is that the date you register isn't necessarily the best date. It's the date you place it out into the universe.
Yeah, and I would bet that the date you register can sometimes conflict, or at least have a more a tougher time with the time you do put it out there in the world. So it's something good
Yes,
to have in your mind.
absolutely.
And something, even though we are astrologers, that we may not think about because a lot of times we rush right into it, right?
We
So we
do.
just throw it out there and then
Yeah.
so that's just a wonderful tool to have if you're looking to improve or reach people in a different way, or like you said, slow down or
hmm
get more articulate on online. All of those things I would assume could fall under this umbrella.
Absolutely, because we communicate different from how our business communicates. We think different from how our business thinks, and we operate as a practitioner, as a boss, as a leader, different than our business projects itself out into the world. So it's important to have that distinction, and it's important to use that as kind of your way to kind of balance like what can I take on? What should somebody else be doing? What should I prioritize? So I think it makes the process a lot easier.
Oh wow. Well, like I said, I will definitely be there on Sunday, April 27th. I will be there the whole time. There's a ton of fascinating speakers
I know.
and a ton of fascinating topics that I bet you could use what you're talking about with all of these other things like YouTube and Substack, and you can
Oh,
really
for
elect
sure.
times with that for your business's birth chart.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Absolutely. And I think it's so many great presenters. I can't wait to watch it.
Ah, wow. Well, do you have anything else to share with us? Anything coming up or anything you want to talk about before we go?
Well, I do teach a bunch of online classes, and so those will be available later this month and early in March. So you definitely check that out on my website, get on my mailing list. So I have a bunch of stuff coming up there. And other than that, no.
Yeah. So oraclebrett.com, correct?
Yep, oraclebrett.com.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you. And also, you can check out OPA's offerings at opaastrology.org. And I am Mandi Rae with ecstaticastrology.com. So thank you so much for joining me today, Brett.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.